Oh my. Yes, the TRX is finally here, and it is awesome. In fact, we're just going to let it speak for itself for a minute. That sounds amazing. Okay, let's get into the deets. No, wait, I need more. Okay, so 702 horsepower. I was off by a little bit in my last video. 650 foot-pounds of torque. That's enough to move this 6,500 pound beast to 60 miles an hour in just 4.5 seconds. That's faster than the current Nissan 370Z. It does the quarter mile in 12.9 seconds at 108 miles an hour, and its top speed is governed at 118 miles an hour. That makes it the fastest factory truck produced. Now the TRX sits a full 2 inches higher than a standard half-ton Ram and has 11.8 inches of ground clearance. Wheel travel is up, front comes in at 13 inches, while the rear comes in at 14 inches of travel. Aside from the additional clearance, Ram moved the alternator to the high location in order to get 32 inches of water fording ability. In fact, one thing that's interesting about the engine bay is that you really can't see the engine. The airbox sits on top of the engine and it's so big that it completely covers it. So that's kind of a bummer for us guys who like to show off what's under the hood. However, 50% of the air going to that airbox comes from that Ram intake on the hood. Also, that airbox filters out 4 times as much dust as the Raptor. Okay, back to suspension for a minute. Ram claims that only 2 spring manufacturers in the world had the capability to build the rear springs. So, with those amazing springs, they accomplished a ramp travel index, or an RTI score, of 605 out of the factory. Now, controlling those amazing springs are Bilstein 2.5-inch Blackhawk E2 active shocks. And active is the key word. They're constantly adjusting and monitoring based on the mode that you select inside the TRX. And in the rear, those are sitting on top of a Dana 60 solid axle. Now, all this amazing off-road ability and power didn't just get slapped onto a traditional half-ton frame. According to Ram, the frame has been heavily modified. The new frame uses extensive high-strength steel that increases low torsion attributes, kind of like a heavy-duty half-ton. Now, payload in the bed comes in at 1,310 pounds. Towing comes in at 8,100 pounds. And while this is best-in-class towing, I'm still wondering if the tires, as well as its shorter wheelbase, are what's holding it back from being able to tow more. With its heavily modified frame and more than enough torque to pull a much larger trailer, 8,100 pounds seems way underrated to me. And that's kind of a bummer because I'd like to see this come in closer to 10,000 pounds. We can even go back to the old Titans and Armadas from Nissan back in early mid-2000s, and they were rated at 91 to almost 10,000 pounds back then. All right, so onto the interior. Much as I lament not being able to pull a big trailer with this thing, as I mentioned in my last video, as expected, the interior of the Ram TRX is class-beating. Every TRX comes with the 12-inch U-Connect in the center stack, and for the first time in any FCA vehicle, Ram is including the SRT performance pages as well as the off-road pages on the 12-inch screen. And if we need more proof that Ram is listening to their customers, Ram has brought back the traditional shifter in the center console. So hopefully they were listening to their customers, but they also needed a place to put the TRX mode and drive selector, as well as the launch control button. Yes, this truck has launch control. So those buttons needed someplace to be, and so they are on the dash where the old transmission dial selector is on the other Ram 1500s. For those of you who have owned a V8 Mopar recently, I'm talking cars like Charger, Challenger, Durango, you may have fallen in love with Sport Mode, or the Sport Mode button. I had a 2016 Dodge Durango RT. It had the Sport Mode button, and it was a game changer on that car. The growl, what we call the Hemi growl between gear shifts, which are super fast, is amazing sounding. I couldn't get enough of it, so my foot was always on the floor through the gears. But this TRX gets Sport Mode, but it also gets Snow Mode, Mud and Sand Mode, Rock Mode, Baja Mode, and a custom mode that you can really custom tailor how you want that to be when you go into that mode. Now, one thing that I've not heard many people speak about yet with this is the Launch Edition TRX. They did bring it up in the reveal, but Ram will only be building 702 of those commemorative TRX Launch Editions. That edition is visually different on the exterior by its anvil gray paint. On the inside, each of the Launch Edition trucks gets a special red and aluminum brushed center console badging, identifying it as a special edition limited TRX. And there's a bunch of items that go with that as far as the interior trim and the carbon fiber and everything else. So that brings in TRX Level 2 equipment group. That's what comes with the the Launch Edition. That brings carbon fiber interior trim, color accent package, heads-up display, beadlock capable wheels, 19 speaker Harman Kardon premium sound system, dual pane panoramic sunroof, and body side graphics. So basically there just aren't many options left for the Launch Edition. It pretty much has everything. Now, prices for the TRX start just over $70,000, but my guess is that you'll be hard pressed to find one for under $80,000. I built one out on Ram's site today with every option I could throw at it, and it came in at nearly $96,000. I similarly equipped the Raptor on Ford's site, and it came in at only $77,400. But it's also 250 horses shy of the TRX, and it has a wimpy sounding exhaust, so yeah, I don't care. Alright, sorry, not sorry, but FCA America has figured out what their customers want in an exhaust note. And I don't think there's another car manufacturer out there that's doing that as well as FCA, which is Dodge, Ram, and Jeep. And Chrysler, yeah, but they don't really do that very much with the exhaust notes anymore. Since the SRT went away, the Chrysler 300 is a pretty mellow car. Okay, so production of the 2021 Ram TRX is nearly underway, and the Launch Edition starts in the early fourth quarter of 2020, which means that we should start seeing them on the roads here pretty quickly, and the Launch Edition probably by early November. But going back, gotta go back and revisit this exhaust note thing, because I think this is a key thing for Ram as well as for Dodge. Dodge and Ram have really focused on tuning their exhaust, and there is while the Ram, the TRX, will feel every bit worth its $100,000 price tag, the Ford, unfortunately, will never feel quite worth its $70,000 plus price tag because of that supercharged V8 and the twin 5-inch exhausts. That's why it wins. I don't care what else it does or doesn't do. If it sounds like in the videos, I'm all in. Okay, well, that's it for today, guys. We'll be back with more in-depth look at the TRX in the near future. In the meantime, please consider subscribing and turn on the notifications so you don't miss any new cool car stuff. Thanks for watching.